What is up, everyone? Welcome back to Performer's Dream. My name is Ty Gallenbeck. I'm a magician in Telluride, Colorado, and Performer's Dream is all about trying to help performers of all kinds, musicians, comedians, magicians, whatever it is, try to figure out ways that you can live out your dream as a performer. So that's what we're here. If you're joining for the first time, awesome. Make sure to go back and check out some of the other videos. We've had a couple of great interviews over the last few weeks. I got to interview my mentor, Danny Ray, who is a magician from California, who was recently on Penn and Teller and fooled them. And then I also did an interview with a musician named Cousin Curtis, who is just an incredible root stomp, bluegrass musician. I almost called him a magician. Musician from here in Colorado. Both of those have a ton of really cool information in them. So make sure you go check those out and see what all they had to say. There's some crazy stuff. Curtis talked a lot about just never quitting, about how he sold everything, basically lived in a tiny house on the road to kind of make himself see if he could become a full-time performer. And then Danny shared some stuff about when he was getting ready to perform for Penn and Teller Fool Us, how he was practicing basically 60 hours a week on one trick. And he would take it 1 minute at a time, chunk by chunk, till he had that minute perfect. And then he would move to the second minute, third minute, fourth, for a total of 5 minute trick. It's insane. So definitely go check those out. Watch those. Tonight, it is just me. It'll probably be shorter tonight. I just came in from another committee meeting for a big fundraising event we have coming up here. So I'm beat. But I wanted to jump on here and we're going to talk about something. I have a very embarrassing video to show tonight. I have almost every performance I've done for the last 10 years or so have been recorded because we use a live camera in our show. And so we record everything so we can go back and look at what went well and what didn't go so well, which is a great piece of information for anyone. If you can figure out how to record yourself, it's super helpful. A buddy of mine who you will actually see in the video, who did stand-up comedy for a long time, he used to just take his phone and set it down and turn on the voice recorder so he could record himself during every performance. So you can go back and check that out. It can be super helpful, but there is also times where it becomes super painful and you have to go back and watch how bad it was, which is what we're going to be talking about tonight. One of the things that I think I have heard over and over and over again from professionals and mentors, and I mean, Jerry Seinfeld talks about it. You hear it from everyone. One of the keys to becoming a successful performer is to find a place you can be bad, and consistently bad is helpful, even more so. And what that means is that when you start out, no matter how good you are, you're not there. It doesn't matter. And you will get better and better and better the more reps you have. And especially with performance art, the more you interact with people and you are in front of people, the better your stage presence becomes. And the only way to do that and to get those skills and to get those chops is to be in front of people all the time. And a lot of that time, you're not going to be very good. Comedians, to me, have a distinct advantage in this world because open mics are a thing, and it is like an established, consistent place where you can test out new material. You can be bad in front of audiences. If you bomb, it's for 2 to 3 minutes at a time. It's designed to be that way, which is fantastic. In my world, I put together, typically a 60-minute show. And a lot of times there's material that we have to roll out in front of people that has been, test run a few times with people, but not very often. And so that creates some very unique scenarios and some very bad scenarios at times. And sometimes that's all on us where we haven't practiced enough or didn't think through something. And sometimes that is stuff that you just can't predict until you get it in front of an audience. And so finding those places where you can be bad is super important. And a lot of people will go like, well, there's nothing like that around me. We don't have an open mic night or whatever that is. I can't find any place to play, music or sing or whatever. Then make one. That's the only thing I can say. I can remember taking a lot of birthday party shows. I would do free walk around stuff in bars and restaurants, those kind of things for a long, long time, just to try to get hours in front of people. Musicians will play bar gigs or birthday parties or whatever that is. Any chance you can get in front of people, it's helpful. And eventually what will start happening is people are like, oh, I want you to come do this. And that's when you get to be like, well, that's going to cost this much and this much and this much. And at first, I think it's good to make sure you're honest with yourself about how you're valuing your pricing. Do some research, look around what other people are charging, those kind of things, and price yourself accordingly based on experience and the product you are presenting. Almost all performers will, especially early on, will undervalue themselves, which I don't think is a terrible mistake because it's way easier to get more bookings when you are kind of blowing the value out of the water and you're providing a lot more than what people expected to get for that price. But be honest with yourself. Look around. I mean, if this band is charging $800 and they've been doing it for 8 years and there's 4 of them, then you as a solo artist who, knows 4 chords probably shouldn't be charging that same thing. But figure out what those are and where those places are where you can consistently get in front of people and test material out, work on things, get used to being in front of people, all of those kind of things. And this being bad phase lasts for years. I still think, I am 8 years in as a full-time professional. I've been performing for almost 20 years now, 21 years now. We are rolling out a new show right now. And the way we're using finding a place to be bad is we are inserting one piece of the new show into our current show, so that we can test out this material in front of live audiences. So we have it's an advantage at this point, but we've been doing it a while. But last week, the trick we're working on was not good. We've done it 3 times. It hasn't been good yet. But because it's sandwiched in between stuff that we know is fantastic, it allows us to be able to get away with that. And for us, we're being honest about it. We're telling people, hey, we're trying out something new. Bear with us. Like, you're one of the first people that gets to see this. And I think when people come back, they will be surprised at where that ends up landing and how much it's changed since those first few performances. So I uploaded a clip. So when I say this will last for years, so the clip I'm going to show is actually from my first ever Mind Blown show. And this was kind of the show that really launched my career in a lot of ways. It was the first self-produced show we did. It sold out. It was incredible. It was fun looking at some of the footage, like how many friends were in the audience. Like, it was not a lot of strangers by any means. We had a great community that kind of rallied and bought tickets and came to this event. But I was watching this clip and you'll see, and I was like, what was I thinking? Like, it's terrible. So let me roll this clip and then I'll kind of explain what it was and thought process and where we went and all this kind of stuff. So here we go. Don't cheer too loud. He'll start playing with his udders. All right. All right, you can step right back over here. I love. I'm not going to be able to focus if you doing that.
It's utterly amazing.
And that's officially the worst joke of the night. Now, on to actually what we're trying to do here. Don't look that way. We're going to take your card. I'm going to teach you one more dance move. It works like this. If we take your card, we put it about halfway down. It goes into the middle of the deck. There it is. So let's explain this a little. The guy in the cow costume was a comedian. His name is Andy Koningsmark. I'm actually hoping to get him to do an interview on this as well. We have worked together a ton, and so he had opened the show that night. And so for some reason, I thought it was going to be a good idea to have Andy come on stage in a cow costume. And the idea was he was going to steal something off the stage and no one would notice he stole it, which is kind of a fun concept. It was definitely kind of a ripoff from Darren Brown. I was early on and it seemed like a good idea at that point. And the part that I cut that made it so much worse is immediately after that interaction that you guys just saw, there is a sound cue that is supposed to play and it failed. It was not working. And so Andy is standing there in a cow costume for another 2 or 3 minutes, just ad-libbing and trying to keep things moving. And to watch it back is so painful for me to just think about how much of a distraction that was, the way it took away from what was happening on stage. And that trick that is in that video is still in the show today, and it looks completely different. But we have done that trick now hundreds, if not thousands of times, and have streamlined things and made it stronger and all this different stuff. And so the repetition that you can get from being in front of people is priceless. We actually just added a joke into our show. It is a trick that has been in the show for 4 or 5 years at this point. And we accidentally, I grabbed the card and accidentally flashed it to the camera. And the audience started laughing at it because it's a part of the trick where I can actually look at the card and it's not a big deal. But we flashed it in front of the camera and the audience was laughing because they thought I was trying to use the camera to steal a peek at the card. And so it was this accidental moment that the only way you ever figure this out is by being in front of people, that we have now purposefully recreated every show since then. So now in that moment, when I'm taking this card away from the girl who is on stage, I very intentionally put it in front of the camera and look up at the TV like I'm trying to be sneaky and get this camera shot or get the information from their card in that way. And it plays incredible. And to my cameraman Nate's credit, like he was the one that was like, we need to do that again. Like it's funny, it's good. And so it's stuck in the show. And those are the kind of things that only happen when you're in front of an audience and you're getting in front of people on a regular basis. If you're a magician, you will hear this over and over and over from other magicians, and I will tell it to you too. If you can get a regular walk around gig where you are performing 1, 2, 3, 4 nights a week, whatever that looks like, for multiple hours, for lots of people in a restaurant, it is one of the best ways to hone your craft. You will hone the sleight of hand. You will hone the jokes. You will hone the timing. You will learn how to work with distractions. It is absolutely an invaluable lesson if you can do that. I worked for 3 months at a chop house in Vail, Beaver Creek, where I was working 5 to 6 nights a week, 3 hours a night. And I didn't enjoy it. I almost said I hate it. I'm not sure I'd go that far, but I did not like it. It's not the style of magic that I love to perform, but it taught me so much. It was an incredible experience. That many hours a week is just absolutely priceless when it comes to stage time. For a musician, there are bars and there are venues and there are coffee shops everywhere that would love to try to create a draw and bring more people in. And so if you can create a place where you're showing up once a week to do, a 30-minute set, an hour set, whatever that looks like, do it, find it, make it, whatever that takes. Comedians, find open mic nights, whatever that is. I wish we have a couple of open mic nights around us, and we're actually starting to get more. But as I was starting out, there wasn't anything like that. The closest one was an hour away, and it wasn't great. And so, if you can find a good open mic night, if you're in a place where you can find a good open mic night, do that. Go to those. And I think that's great for musicians. If it's a true open mic night where anyone can perform, that's good for everyone. If you're a magician, practice a 3-minute bit, whatever it is, work on that, get used to the people. If you're a musician, play one song, see how it goes over, those kind of things. You will get better as a performer the more and often you can get in front of people. And record yourself. Look back. Don't take it for granted that you're where you think you need to be, because you will notice stuff watching yourself that you would have never picked up on before. And some of it's good. You're like, oh, I need to make sure I always do that. And some of it's like, I need to never do that again. So hopefully this was helpful in some way, shape, or form. We have one person tuned in, which is awesome. Thank you for tuning in. I don't expect these to get a lot of traction yet, but I'm hoping people start to find them and they are helpful to whoever's watching. I also do want to give a shout out to Dalton. He was actually a former Young Life kid. Back in the day. He's a musician in Denver now. He did all the animation for the new countdown graphic at the beginning, which turned out super awesome. So, Dalton, if you ever see this, thanks, man. I appreciate it. I think he goes by the stage name, The Polite Heretic. I'm almost positive that's what it is. So check him out as well. Make sure, go back and watch the 2 interviews with Danny and Curtis. Also, of course, because it's YouTube, I have to say, like and subscribe. That's super helpful. But more importantly, I think share this with friends. And if you're not in the Facebook group, join that group and be active. Ask questions. If there's something you're wondering about and you want to learn about, don't be shy. I want this to be a useful platform to try to help other performers. I truly wish I had something like this when I was starting out. I think it would have saved me a lot of mistakes. So thank you so much for watching. We will be back next week doing this again. Join the Facebook group, like and subscribe. And until next time, have a great time out there. Go find a place to be bad, wherever it is, your grandma's house. I don't know.